everyone, this is Sarah Lewis with Lara Realty Partners, and today I have the lovely Stephanie Costello from Karner Blue Romance. Stephanie has 10 years of experience working in mental health with people of all ages, and she founded her own practice, Karner Blue, and works as an intimacy coach, helping people achieve emotional awareness and finding their power. And
Yes.
I love this. Because I think it can be applied to people in all facets of their life, business and personal. And so hopefully my clients today can learn a little bit about how emotional awareness can help them while shopping for a home. So
Yes, I love it. And the beautiful thing about what you just said is every professional has the opportunity to give their clients a little bit of power, no matter what you do, right? I, as a business, like as what I do, I give the power. I'm like, here's the skill to have the power or the skills, right? Whereas along the way, and that's why I love working so closely with you, because you really empower your clients to do what they want and to get what they want. And oftentimes that's not the case. Most times in like service provider fields, we feel that we own their power, right? Because they're paying us for a service. And so that's a very different mindset.
well, I've been able to learn a lot from you and just listening to your presentations. Stephanie and I are in a networking together. So why don't you tell us first a little bit about how you got into this?
Yes, sure. So I started my journey, my professional journey about 11 or 12 years ago now. And through that entire journey, I worked with children with autism. And when you work with children with autism, you also work with their families. And so every environment the family was in, I also worked in. So I've worked in every environment you can think of, except for a nursing home. In the home, in the community, in every environment in the community possible. And so when you work with such a variety of ages and skill sets and so on, you really start to niche down, like, what is it that I want to do? I don't want to do this variety kind of work all my life. And, going through school, getting my degrees, doing my internships, I narrowed myself down to working on a more of an individual basis, sometimes group. And I didn't want to get my license. I didn't want to take health insurance. I really wanted to have my own power, and I didn't want a governing body telling me what I can and cannot do. So that's kind of where the practice itself arisen. And the intimacy and relationship coaching is just over time working with so many people, I was starting to niche down on what is it that they're missing and that they need help on.
I love you brought this up, and I'm happy you did. But your choice not to get licensed, and your ability to help people however they need to be helped and not be restricted. I love that.
Yes, it's definitely it's a double-edged sword, right? Because your license, there's sort of a protection there, and then there's a governing body telling you what you can and cannot do, and the double-edged sword there too is I've gone through school, I've got the education, I've got the professional experience, so I'm safe in being able to work with people and make sure I'm working with them appropriately. So it's definitely, we all have our place in the world and in our helping ways, but I definitely think it's important to have education behind the work that you do.
Perfect.
Yes.
Well, and speaking of helping people,
Yes.
I've definitely had clients, and it can be couples or business partners who couldn't always agree when it came to making this monstrous decision of buying a home and their wish list for the home. So what can you tell us about having these conflicting conversations with your partner or spouse, and being able to compromise?
Yes. So a lot of my work is based around conflict management and figuring out how to deal with yourself in the conflict, how to understand your partner or the person that you're engaging with in the conflict, and then how do both of you kind of come together and have that same desire of coming together. Not always are all of the stars aligned to make that happen. So then there's other tools along the way to utilize to help with managing the conflict in the moment, right? There's going to be times where you both are on the same page, you're understanding each other's perspectives, you're not on completely different sides of the field, and then you're working together, accomplishing it like pretty quickly. Whereas other times with bigger decisions, like the important piece to remember with as a person is our picture in our head or the movie that's playing in our head may not be the same as our partners. And that doesn't mean that they hate us or they're not able to do whatever we want them to do or they don't like, right? It just means they have a different picture. And so sometimes we have to paint each other's pictures. And oftentimes I'll say, my picture's kind of like just sketched. I need you to help me color it in so I can understand what your picture really is. And that tends to be very helpful.
Yeah, I like that analogy. I'm trying to think of how I can use this if I see, sometimes there can be a husband and wife that are on such different pages. I'm shocked they're shopping for a home together.
Yeah.
This is giving me cues. Is there anything else I can say to people
Absolutely.
to help them emotionally express themselves to each other?
Yes. And even before that, right? Like if they're on two completely different pages and they can't even get to the point of painting each other's pictures, we got to start from ground zero, which is what do they both want? Not what do they want together? What do each of them separately want? And then we can take the time to collaborate and compromise and figure out like, okay, I want blue walls. I want 4 bedrooms. I want whatever it is, right? I want a big yard. I want an offset from the street. I want, all the different desires in a home. And then the other partner gets the opportunity to just wave the magic wand. Don't worry about what it's going to cost. Don't worry about where it's going to be located and all the little intricacy, kind of details that go into buying a home. That's eventually. So, detaching, committing to the process and detaching from the outcome. You just got to start. Yeah. Start with what do you want? And you might not get all of what you want, but let's figure out at least what you want. So paint the picture for me, and then we can paint it together.
I like that because people, they're so, especially in today's market, it is a difficult market because it's a seller's market and buyers have to be very aggressive.
Right.
With price, it's such a forefront of their mind. So I think what I'm hearing is have them dial back and really just talk about if they could have anything they want, what would their dream be? And get that out for their partner or their business
for
partner.
Each other. Yeah. For themselves, most importantly, then for each other. Right. And then they get to figure out together, right? Well, I want 2 bathroom sinks in the master bathroom. Okay, well, I can deal with not having my walk-in closet for you to have the space for the 2, right? And then you can go into the compromising and the collaborating and the accommodating. And if they can't, it's okay to take space. We don't got to figure shit out right now. Oops, sorry. I don't know if swearing is okay on your podcast.
It's okay. There's no rating on this interview.
Oh, good. Because I tend to be a trucker mouth.
You're real.
I am. It's okay to take space and, okay, we're not getting anywhere. Let's pause. Let's take a break and come back. I love you. I want to support you. I want to write validating statements. I'm not upset with you. I just really need to take space because I'm starting to get emotionally upset and I don't know why. And I need to figure it out before I can then continue to collaborate with you.
Perfect.
Yeah. And people are like, oh, wow, that's like the way you put it, just so easy. It's like, no, really, it is that easy.
Well, I'm thinking I've had clients that have gone like completely dark for a little while and then they pop back out of nowhere and say, okay, we're ready to move on this house. And I'm thinking that's probably exactly what they were doing, is reevaluating themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
And if I can cue into that and help them take some time to really look in the mirror and then restart their search, I think that would be beneficial.
It would be. Also remember, you're giving them a bit of power, right? So the skill that you're working with them on, so we can even dial it to you, right? The collaborating and the compromising and accommodating, you have to do that all day long with your clients, right? It's not ever going to go the way you want it to go or what you want. You're there to represent the client, right? So if they have an inability on their own terms to collaborate or compromise or accommodate, know that you're not doing anything wrong and you're not serving them to the best of your ability, because really what is hindering them is their inability to serve themselves.
Yep.
Yeah. And I
Well,
feel
and
like,
hopefully clients that are listening, if they
yeah,
can find a way to be open to me too, that will help me be able to give them their
building the
own power
trust.
back and give them the space and the reflection.
Absolutely. And giving them the trusting, vulnerable place. Like buying a home, I bought mine recently. Buying a home is very, like, you feel naked. You feel like everyone can see into your soul. And it's for myself, my home buying process, it was a huge pivotal moment in my life. I know it is in most people. It
Yeah.
was an astronomically huge moment in my life. I never expected to own a home. I never expected to be the person that I am today. And so the fact that, and I've never been able to call a place home. So for me, that is, yes, it's
I'm
a
so
very,
happy for you.
thank you. It really is a very special moment. And so speaking from my own perspective of, I've been there, and I know how naked you feel.
Yeah.
Just speaking up and saying, and this is where the power goes, like, I need help, right? Or I'm not okay right now. I'm having a hard time. That doesn't mean we're any lesser than, or we're not good enough or anything like that. It's just saying, hey, realtor, like, I trust you. Can you please help me? And being okay with being vulnerable is another, like, important foundational step.
I think people, I mean, this is such a good lesson, and the more people can open up and tell me their vulnerabilities and tell me what they're afraid of. If I can figure them out on my own, I'm pretty good. I remember I had a client, and she's wonderful. She needed an update every single day, even if it was just a little text saying, "We're on track. I'm talking to the lender. Everything's going smooth. Have a wonderful day." That was it. And that put her at peace once I
Yeah.
figured that out. So this is great. People, tell me what you need, and be honest with yourself what you need.
Yes, and the love languages, like, that's a huge, basically what you just said is her love language is words of affirmation. So when she was getting those validating messages from you, you were speaking to her way of being cared for, which then shows how intimacy is involved in everything that we do.
I never thought before about how I could take love language, because I think I've taken your love language survey.
Yeah.
I never thought before how I could take love language and apply it to my clients, because I always felt that was like, okay, that's me and my spouse thing, but that can really go towards any relationship.
Absolutely. Even in the cash wrap, like, if you go up to a cashier and the cashier is like, "Oh, how are you doing? Did you find everything?" and not looking at you, there's a way to pull them out of that, to give them that, like, "Hey, I'm here and I want to hear from you because I know that you ask this stupid question every time you have somebody standing in front of you and you hate repeating it. So let's have a real conversation." And usually when you do give that to them, they really appreciate it and they're kind of like caught off guard by it. And it's just applying it to strangers is still even an option.
That's such a nice thing, because especially in the example of a cashier, they're now all behind this plexiglass wall, sometimes don't even look at you. And if you can, like, break down, metaphorically, I guess,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
emotionally, break down that plexiglass wall and get
Yeah.
to somebody, I miss interpersonal connections that
We
don't have
do.
anymore.
Yeah, we all do. It's definitely challenging. I love this. Hopefully the love and by the way, the love language test isn't mine. It's oh, I forget the doctor's name, but if you just Google 5 love language test or quiz free, it'll pop up. And he's got several. He's got some for military, some for partners.
Maybe I should have all my clients do that and show me their results, and I can be.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that earlier. Do you have a process, and when you first meet people, that brings that kind of your passion for empowering them? Because really, that at the core of what you do is empowering people. It's interesting to be seeing it in action.
Yeah, I've never thought about that, and how I do have the power to give people their power back. I've never really realized that until you and I really started talking.
Isn't that interesting? You do it naturally, so it's really cool.
I when I first meet with clients, I do a first time home buyer consult, or just a buyer process consult, and sellers too, but so that they can just learn the process. And I think I can incorporate that. Thinking back to situations like your example with the cashier, And as I said before, I really believe what you do can be applied to any part of people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
But who do you think, or maybe what situations that people are going through in their lives would benefit the most from your work from an intimacy coach right now?
People in transitions, people who are in a place where they're recognizing that the behavior cycles in their life are not working for them, not necessarily behavior, but whatever pattern they feel they're stuck in, right? If they wake up every morning and they're like, I'm doing the same stuff over and over and over again. I chose the word stuff wisely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If there's just this daunting, endless feeling, this resentment towards some sort of experience that they're having consistently all the time, that is the time to really break that pattern. That is the time to figure out what is the pattern, why am I stuck in it. And we don't really dig deep on the why. We kind of touch on it a little bit to be like, hey, watch out for this pattern in the future. And then to really set goals and accomplish those goals to break those habits.
Everyone that is sitting at home that has been doing the same dull and dreary COVID routine because we feel stuck.
Yeah.
I hope you heard what Stephanie just said.
I hope so too. And if you need any support on it, please reach out. And I'm somebody who believes that what I do is not my information to keep. So I'm very, very giving in a lot of ways. And I absolutely love doing that. Honestly, I love giving sometimes more than I love getting paid, because the giving is like so enlightening. And when people feel like they're getting I love to give hands up, not hands out, right? And that's another life thing that you can apply. Really, if you want to help somebody, give them a hand up. Don't give them a handout, because the handout is just gonna, right? They're just gonna take it. So
speaking about giving people a hand up,
yes.
What is the best advice you can give every single one of us as we are going into 2021?
Yeah, that's a hard question, because I'm so passionate about all the moving pieces with conflict management.
That's a whole nother hour interview.
Yeah. Hold on, let me see. A few of them, micro action, macro results.
Ooh.
What one little thing can you do today that is going to shift you into the direction you want to go in? There's no 100%, right? There's never going to be 100%. So what can you do to get to that 10% mark?
Wow, that makes it achievable.
Right. And then when you choose that micro action, pain is inevitable, suffering is an option. You can choose to suffer through that micro action, or you can choose to recognize that it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, a lot of bit uncomfortable, depending on what you're doing. You're going to get through it, and you're going to see the results once you detach from the outcome and commit to the process. So that's kind of like my wisdom there.
I love that, especially if it's I like how you say micro action, because it makes it sound like so obtainable. Okay, I can do this one small little change, and if it hurts a little bit, that's okay. It's all about your attitude to that suffering. Mm-hmm. And then you make another tiny little change, and then weeks later, who knows where you are.
All of a sudden, you're not suffering anymore, and you're getting up and you're doing whatever you decided to do
and
naturally.
You're broken your cycle.
Yes, exactly. So break those cycles in 2021.
I'm loving it. I can't wait to start breaking some of my own cycles that I know I need to get out of, bad habits.
I love it.
So, go ahead.
I was going to say thank you for having me.
Yes. And for everyone listening, if you want to hear more, you can visit www.kbromance.com, or you can listen to the Intimacy Truths podcast wherever you get your podcasts if you'd like to hear more from Stephanie.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Everyone enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.